What's going on, guys? Hostile Q&A number 4. I'm glad you guys asked all these questions. I got like 150 questions here. I don't think I'm going to get to all of them, but I'm going to give you guys about an hour. And maybe we'll do a two-parter where I do another hour later on in the week. But let's just do an hour for now and see if we can get through a lot of these questions. Now, before I start, I just want to give you guys a quick update because I know a lot of you are excited about the supplement company coming out, and I'm dying for you guys to try everything because I'm actually extremely happy with the way the pre-workout turned out, the essential aminos, everything tastes great, the intra, and I really, really just want you guys to try it. So we are working as fast as we can. We had a lot of compliance issues to take care of with lawyers and FDA and all these other things, and labels have to be a certain size and certain width and certain colors and certain. So we took care of all the loose ends, and I think we're almost ready for production. We're looking at mid-March would be our production run, and we should have it at our fulfillment center ready to go by April 1st. I don't want you to quote me, but it looks like that's where we're headed. It looks like that's the time. So we're not far away now. We got about 6 to 8 weeks, and we're pushing as hard as we can to get things done. So I appreciate you guys being patient. I appreciate you guys staying on board and staying connected and really waiting for things to happen. I do think it'll be worth it. I do think you guys will appreciate what we've put forward. And in the meantime, we're going to keep doing these Q&As, keep kind of trying to give you guys more content and more how-to videos, how to train, how to eat, how to do certain things, plus these Q&As, and hopefully it'll help you guys moving forward in your quest to get huge and make your physique transformations. So enough talking, enough nonsense. Let's get to the questions. We'll get to the stuff that you guys care about. I got an hour set on my timer, and we're going to ready, set, go. All right. First question comes from, if you guys have peptide questions, PED questions, please. The Hosstile channel is our supplement channel. We're not going to answer any of those questions on this channel. If you have those questions, if you follow me at Fouad Abiad on Instagram, when I put up a Q&A post, you can ask those questions there and I will answer them. But on the Hosstile page, we're not going to touch on those topics as much. So if I skipped over your question, that might be why. You might want to ask it on my channel when the time comes. But for now, let's get to the other ones. Jose HDZ15 says, my favorite workout split. My favorite workout split is what's now become deemed the bro split. I like doing 1 to 2 body parts a day, and I'm on a 5-day split. I take 2 rest days. It's what I've been doing since I was 20 years old, and I feel like it's perfect. I try and split my back workout as far away as I can from my quad workout, because back day and quad day are probably going to be the hardest on your central nervous system if you're training hard enough. So you want to give them a little bit of time in between. So I'll give you an example of what my split currently looks like. Monday, I have hamstrings and calves because it's a lagging area that I'm trying to build. So if you guys say, well, why'd you put it on a Monday? It's because it's the area I want to build the most. So I have it on Monday. Well, let's just start with Sunday. Sunday's a day off. Monday is my first day back. Hamstrings and calves. Tuesday, I get into back. Wednesday is arms. Thursday is a day off. Friday is quads. And Saturday is chest and shoulders. Now, if you're asking why I put chest and shoulders together, it's something I started doing when I started working with John Meadows. I feel like your shoulders get a lot of work when you do chest, so it doesn't take much after chest to hit 6 to 9 sets of shoulders and really get a good pump. My shoulders actually got better after I started doing that. Now, if you have lagging shoulders, you could do that and add another shoulder workout later. As you see, I've taken 2 days for legs because I want my hamstrings to develop more, so I gave them kind of their own day. But if I was trying to prioritize shoulders, for example, I would have 2 shoulder days, one maybe shoulder and tricep, and one maybe chest and shoulders, or maybe one shoulder day by itself. So you kind of have to figure out how you want to split up your days based on your body and what you think is lagging the most. But some hard and fast rules, like I said, are I don't like to go more than 3 days and then without a day off. So I'll go 3 days and then have a day off, and then 2 days and then another day off. So that's my 2 days off a week. And I like my back and my quad split to be, my back and my quad days to be separated in between those 2 breaks. And That's generally it. And the reason I do that is I just don't feel like, and this isn't something I see. I don't know why people say beginner should do this and advanced should do this. When I was a beginner, this was the split I was doing. I mean, I had it set up differently, but it was a 5-day split, 1 or 2 body parts a day, 2 days of rest. I never felt like I could get the amount of volume I wanted to get in on a body part if I was doing a push day where I had 3 body parts. I don't want to be in the gym for more than an hour and 15 minutes max. So if I can't get everything I want to get in an hour and 15 minutes, I'm not going to do it. So 2 days or 2 body parts is the most I'll put together. Moving on. Germon 10 says, have you ever done DC training? When is Evan coming back on the show to feature his new sewing hobby? Evan's got a lot of great hobbies. He's sewing and welding and building shit. He's the man. As far as DC training, no, I haven't done DC training. I actually messaged Dante. Excuse guys, I have a little bit of an allergy, so if I'm sniffling, I apologize. But I actually messaged Dante, I think in 2010, 2011. And I think I had already had a couple injuries by then. And Dante's training regimen is very heavily based on lifting heavy weights and progressive overload and constantly getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And Dante didn't think that it was a good idea for me based on my injuries and based on my past history with injuries. So we decided it wasn't a good idea, and I never went through with it. Now, if I had a healthy physique and I didn't have any injuries, I didn't have any issues with injuries, I think Dante's training principles are amazing. I think they're amazing anyway. It just, if you're the kind of person who's injury prone, it's probably not the best idea to be lifting maximum weight all the time. Lens Chad says, what was the best pump you ever had, and did it do anything special? Did you do anything special to get it? The best pumps I've ever had are probably post-show. And anybody who's competed in a show can tell you that. The reason is when you're dieting, you're on such low calories and you're so carb depleted and so water depleted, so sodium depleted, that you become very weak near the end of your prep. Most people do anyways. And your body almost becomes like a sponge. It's just waiting. It's waiting for the calories. It's waiting for the nutrients. So after the show, when you start eating, whether it be eating pizza or pasta or burgers or whatever you're eating after the show, usually people just start eating whatever they want after a show, or I did anyways. My body would just soak it up. It just soaked up all the glycogen, all the salt, all the grease, everything. My body just pushed it into the muscle. And when it was time to train, it really didn't take much. It was like, 3-4 sets in if I'm training chest or biceps. Actually, I just posted a picture on my Instagram today of what I looked like after a chest workout. And this was only like a week after getting ready for a show. Everything just exploded because it was so, like I said, like a sponge. It had soaked up all those carbs. So when I trained, it just came alive. So I don't think there's ever a better pump than after you've made your body suffer in a deficit for a long period of time and then giving it a bunch of calories. You just can't. If you made it suffer in a deficit the right way, I mean, low carbs, low sodium, this and that, and then all of a sudden you just give it a flood it with these calories and these nutrients, you're going to get that. You could probably do the experiment yourself. If you took a week or even 2 weeks, you don't have to do a show. If you took a 2 week or 1 week stint and you went, let's say you did like a 60% protein, 20% carbs, 20% fats. That probably maintain a lot of your muscle. You probably lose some weight. You probably definitely lose a lot of water weight. And your body will start to, your glycogen levels will drop. Your workouts will start to get worse over the course of the 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks is done, give yourself 1,000 carbs, 1,000 grams of carbs that day. Even like with some junk food. Maybe you have some Costco muffins or some Five Guys burgers. And then go to the gym the day after that. Right? You're definitely going to see and feel a major difference in your pump because your body is now starving for those nutrients. You become very insulin sensitive, and your body will, the nutrient uptake, the glycogen uptake into the muscle will become so much more dramatic than when you're just eating 800 calories every single day. And this is one of the reasons why carb cycling works. One of the reasons why carb cycling works so well is because you're doing a high day and then a couple low days, or a high day, medium day, low day, whatever, however you set it up. But those, when you go high day, low day, and then high day, low day, low day, you get a better insulin response, a better insulin sensitivity, and better nutrient uptake into the muscle. So I don't think that's the best way to make maximum gains. But if you're just looking for that really, really great feeling of having, being loaded and unloaded and loaded and unloaded, that's what carb cycling is going to do for you. And that's those pumps when you reloaded are phenomenal. And the longer you're in that deficit, the longer you're in that, I don't want to say starvation mode, but the longer you're in that deficit of calories or deficit of nutrients, the greater the rebound is going to be. JJ Schelling says, hey, Fouad, will the Hosstile Supplements have a sleep product? Yes, they will. I've had sleep issues, especially when I'm dieting. The original launch is only going to be four products. It's going to be a pre-workout, a pump product doesn't have any stim. So for those of you who work out late at night, it's kind of like that'll be your pre-workout. Not that you can't use it during the day. Actually, for a couple workouts when I wanted to go insane, I was using the pre-workout and the pump product together. Might have been a little bit of an overload, but pump was crazy. And then we have an intra workout that I definitely always think is a valuable thing. And we have a essential amino acid for those people that want to drink them during the day or drink them during cardio or those kind of things. We do want to do a sleep product. I do have some ideas in mind for a formulation. We're also going to be thinking about doing a carb powder. We're also thinking about doing some different things that are maybe newer in the industry. And it's all going to be in due time. What we're doing is we're rolling things out very slowly to see what the response is like, to see how people like things, to see what works and what doesn't work. And then as we move forward, we'll decide what we're going to keep, what we're not going to keep, and how we're going to progress. But it's not, I didn't want to put all our cards on the table or all our chips on the table all at once. I kind of want to just feel out the industry. We're not in a rush to be the big dog in the game right away. I'm all about slow growth and doing it right. So for now, it's just the 4 products. We'll see how that goes. And then if the response is great, we're going to keep on pushing with new things. GQ Swag 18 says, I can't get the mind and muscle connection when I do a barbell bench press. My form is good. I keep my scapula retracted and I just can't feel it. My shoulder comes into play no matter what I do, thus the lack of chest growth. Any advice? What you could do is do some pre-exhaust. A good idea might be to get on the pec deck and do 4 to 6 sets of pre-exhaust sets and really get your chest warmed up before you lay down and do the bench press. Your grip might be too wide. If your grip is too wide, your front delts are going to do a lot of work. Or you just might have really crazy delts. I mean, it is a thing where some guys, I know some guys that have great arms and great shoulders and they have weak chests. Or you could be like me, where it's the opposite, where you have a good chest and weaker shoulders and weaker arms. So it's a normal thing to have that problem. In my opinion, I think doing a little bit of a pre-exhaust to get your chest warmed up and get everything contracting properly before you get onto the bench press is a good idea. Now, you're probably not doing that's not going to allow you to bench maximum weights, but you're a bodybuilder, not a power lifter. So we're not trying to break records. We're trying to create contraction. You might want to also add different intensity techniques like pause reps. So that will teach you to keep the pressure on your chest. Also make sure your back is arched slightly, so your chest is always pushed out. If you start to cave in your chest, and you have to maintain that throughout the rep. So a lot of people, what they do is they'll start with their chest pushed out, but as they want to get the weight up, when it gets harder, they start to cave in their chest and push with their shoulders and their arms, and that takes away everything from your chest. So you got to keep your chest full at all times. But you might want to do intensity techniques like pause reps, where you bring the bar down to about 1 inch above your chest, hold it there, and then push back up. Another thing you might be doing is, even if your scapula is retracted, if your elbows are flared out too much, your shoulder's also going to take over. You don't want to have them all the way tucked in because now you're doing triceps. You don't want to have them all the way flared out because now you're doing shoulders. There's a happy medium where you're just kind of like slanted in between. That's going to be more chest. Lastly, what you could do is, and one thing I actually kind of like is doing that exercise last in your workout. Okay, so you can do barbell bench press last in your workout. The chest is really exhausted. Everything's really tired. You might get more out of it that way. And finally, on this topic is you don't have to do the exercise. No one said you have to do barbell bench press, flat bench press to get a big chest. You can use machines, you can use a pec deck, you can use dumbbells, you can use a Smith machine, there's so many different things you can use. In my opinion, you should always be trying to learn new exercises, but after a while, you start to feel certain ones more than others. Those are going to be your staples. So there's a couple different options, a couple different ways you can go about it. But ultimately, I wouldn't stress too hard about, like, there's nothing wrong with you is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you have massive shoulders and massive arms and your chest is lagging, that's actually a normal thing because your shoulder and arm dominant. And a lot of people have the opposite, where they have a massive chest and they're weaker on the limbs. So you just happen to be the first group, right? So, but those are some ideas that you might want to try and employ in your workouts. The original 1945 says, what's the best way to increase shoulder size? One, you could try doing it twice a week. Try doing it with chest. I talked about this earlier in the podcast or in the Q&A. You could try doing it once with chest and then try and doing it a second time by itself. You might not be doing enough volume. You might need more volume. Or lastly, you might be going too heavy. A lot of people I see doing shoulders go extremely heavy. Their form is not that good, and their shoulders aren't getting as much contraction as they really could be if they just lightened up the weight a little bit. So it's kind of an open question, a vague question. There's a million ways to increase shoulder size. So I just maybe need to be a little bit more specific with your question. Not so lightsaber 98 says, what do you do to improve recovery for legs? Cardio. I'm not saying everybody should do it. This is something I do. I did legs yesterday. I woke up today, my legs were sore, and I got up and I went and did the step mill. And it's hard. It's like the first 10 minutes is actually extremely hard because your legs are sore. But I also noticed that by the end, my legs are loose. And I also noticed that they seem to recover faster throughout the week if I keep doing cardio every morning or just do some light walking after each workout. It kind of like helps flush the lactic acid and get everything back to recovery mode, right? Also, your eating has got to be set on point. Obviously, that's an obvious statement. We're just going to say that right from the beginning. Your eating has to be perfect if your recovery is going to be perfect. So you're eating first. Secondly, I think cardio and a little bit of stretching after cardio every day. It doesn't have to be hard cardio. Just a light walk is enough even. But just something to get the blood moving in your legs and the lactic acid flushed out will help, I think, with recovery. Another thing you can do is Epsom salt baths. If you do a hot Epsom salt bath, it will help the muscle relax a little bit. And lastly, you can add some magnesium to your vitamin regimen. The magnesium will also help the muscle relax a little bit. Uncensored Coaching Online says, trends in bodybuilding. Does this steer people away from the reality of what it really takes to achieve your personal goals? I think I know what you mean. Yeah, it does. There are a lot of trends. There are, the keto trend, the Atkins diet trend, the full body workout every day trend. There's so many new trends. Everybody's trying to market themselves in a different way, and there's new trends every day. I do think it gives people too much information almost. There's not like, bodybuilding is not really that hard. Okay. If you're just starting out and you want to do full body every day, you're going to make progress. Will you make progress as fast as somebody else? I don't think so. I don't think it's the best split. Will your progress halt at some point? Yeah. Eventually you're going to run out of room. Like your quality of your progress is going to slow and stop because you can only do that so much before your body starts to break down. There isn't very much new to learn in bodybuilding. It's, the diets that we've been doing this for, bodybuilders have been trying to perfect this thing. We've been experimenting on ourselves since the 40s. So you go from Larry Scott to Arnold Schwarzenegger to Lee Haney to Ronnie Coleman, just jumping eras, right? It's like we keep getting better and better and better. And now all of a sudden I feel like we're in an era where people are like, well, there's got to be a better way. Well, not really. Not really. I mean, we've tried everything. Bodybuilders as professionals have tried everything. Oh, try this guy's technique, try that guy's technique, try this. Do all the other techniques work? Yes. But I think as people, what we're looking for is what technique or life fits your lifestyle the best. And if you don't care about lifestyle, then what technique works the fastest and most optimally? And I feel like as bodybuilders, as professionals, we've experimented so much that we've come to the consensus that this 5-day split or 4-day split, really breaking up the body parts, eating 6 meals a day, getting a meal in every 2 to 3 hours. Like, these are some hard and fast rules that just aren't going to change. And even as much as people try and change them, like, oh, you don't have to do this, and you don't have to eat that much protein, and you don't have to. I'm sorry, guys. The truth is you do. Like, the truth is, I have made my best gains when I was eating lots and lots of protein. I have made my best conditioning at a show came when I was doing lots and lots of cardio. And this is talking for the average person. Obviously, there's going to be outliers, like guys who grow really quickly and don't need a ton of food, or guys who get shredded really quickly and they just don't need to do tons of cardio. But I'm talking for the vast majority, and I consider myself one of the average people who just worked really hard to get to where I am. Those rules kind of apply, and they're not going to change. Like, you're not going to get shredded if you're not. The name of the game is eat more, work harder. The name of the game is not eat less and try and get shredded. It's like I did a podcast with Evan Senapani, and Evan said the way to bodybuild is to create a demand for food by doing more work. So the training your ass off in the gym, the cardio you do at night or during the day, whatever you're doing, this will create a demand for more food. This is not going to change. So these fads of like, well, I can train my whole body every single day. You can, but you're only going to get to a certain point. If you just want to look like, the guy that looks okay on the beach with a pair of shorts on, sure, you can do that. You can train every single day and it's fine. And you're not going to be training that hard, obviously, because if you're training as hard as I am and you're training full body every single day, you're not going to last. Your body will break down. Your joints will hurt. Your tendons will hurt. Your muscle will stop recovering. You will actually start to look worse. This is what is called overtraining, obviously. And overtraining is a real thing. So anyway, going back to the question, yes, the trends, and I'm trying to pick out different trends here that I've thought of recently, but I feel like the trends take away from the basic building blocks of what bodybuilding are. Train really hard, eat every 2 to 3 hours, get in lots of protein, make sure you're eating carbs and clean, healthy fats. Make sure you're taking a rest day here and there, like once or twice a week. Like, these are things that we've kind of tested and proven work. So, I think people should ignore fads and trends a little bit and stick to what's really been working for decades on end. AJ85 says, did you see Iain rocking a Hosstile Subs hoodie in the latest C-Bum vid? Yes, I did. Iain is a good friend, very respectful. We've always had a very respectful relationship. I think Iain has the potential to be the greatest Canadian bodybuilder ever. And that's obviously means he's going to surpass me and anybody else, and Frank and Ben and any of the other great Canadian bodybuilders. But Iain, I think, has all the tools to be a very, very dominant bodybuilder. I think he's still young and he's still on his way up. And I personally was very honored that he decided to wear our hoodie in his video, or even just wears our hoodie at all. So I think that's great. TRN Denny says, how do you deal with the achy joints, particularly your elbows, knees? Obviously, a PT would be the right answer, but have you found anything to work for yourself? Yes. If you go on @Fouad Abiad, my Instagram, in the highlights section, there's a highlight called pain or pain relief or something like that. Click on that. There's a bunch of steps that you can follow to help your pain, but I'm going to go over them with you now. So first and foremost, you want to get some Tiger Balm. Okay. Tiger Balm is a cream or a balm that has about 12 or 13% menthol. You want to get a cream or a balm that has at least 11% menthol or more, because the menthol ingredient is what's going to bring the blood to the joint. And the reason I say that is, so I'll give you guys an example, and it's one of my most recent vlogs I posted on my YouTube channel. I show this. I think it was a leg day vlog. When I do legs, for example, I put Tiger Balm on my knees, and because it's a 12 or 13% menthol, that will draw blood to the joint. Now, if you use like Bengay or something that has like 3% menthol or 4% menthol, it's going to draw blood to the surface, to the skin, and it's going to make your skin feel warm, and you'll think it's doing something, but it's not. It's just the skin. If you use a heavier menthol cream, it's going to bring blood to the joint. What that's doing is bringing blood to the tendons and to the joint, which means you're actually warming them up before you even get to the gym. So before I leave my house, I put Tiger Balm on my knees, and then I cover them with knee sleeves. So now it's even warmer. Because what you're trying to do is warm the joint. If you can warm up the joint, it's going to be much easier, much looser with less pain to use. So Tiger Balm, then your knee sleeves, or if this applies to elbows too, if you're doing chest or shoulders or triceps or anything like that. Tiger Balm, knee sleeves, and then go train. And also I try not to wear, I try and wear jogging pants or something like that, because I also want to keep everything covered just so it's warmer, right? The warmer it is, the better it's going to work. The more blood is going to be there. When you get to the gym, still warm up, right? So I'll start off with like lying leg curls or seated leg curls for legs. And I could be on there for 8 or 9 sets. And the first 4 or 5 sets are very light. We're just moving weight, moving the joint, getting the blood flowing, and that's it. So that's when you get there. When you're done your workout, get home, put some ice on them. Okay. Get home, take off the knee sleeves. And there's you can buy like ice pack sleeves. They're like a sleeve and you put an ice pack in it and you can wrap it with Velcro and it sticks on the joint. Like it'll stick on your joint and stay there because it's wrapped up with the Velcro. I suggest getting that. That way you don't have to sit in like one spot and hold like an ice pack on your knee. So get one of those. When you get home, sit down, wrap it with ice and just let it sit. Now, the reason I'm saying all this is when you have tendonitis or when you have sore tendons, if you're going to keep training, they're only going to get worse. The only way a tendon really recovers is with rest. So as long as we're training every day or every few days or whatever, 5 days a week, you're going to eventually beat that tendon down to the point where it is so painful that you can't do anything or potentially even tear it. So this is a way to minimize that pain and help. The reason tendons get more sore than muscles and the reason you have so many problems is it's very low blood supply to the tendon. So by warming them up with the cream and putting the sleeves on and getting the blood there, you're actually getting the blood flowing in the tendon first is helping you keep it in a healthy place. Okay. And then ice afterwards is going to help reduce all the inflammation so that it can get back to recovering and get better that way. Okay. So that's kind of the technique. Now, the third thing you can add to that is fluctuating or periodization with your training. So if you're the kind of person that trains heavy all the time, your tendons are not going to get better. They need a break. So you could go heavy, heavy, light, or you could go heavy, medium, light, however you want to work it. But you might have to start periodization with your training so that your tendons get a chance to have a break and they're not just going heavy pounding every single week until they're destroyed. That's the last point to make about tendon health. And then if it's still nothing is happening, you just need to lay off it. And massage also helps. Listen, if you can afford it, you can go see a massage therapist. Massage will actually, because a lot of times the tendons get really tight when the muscle's really tight, because the muscle will pull on the tendon and it won't track properly. So if you can keep your muscles loose, your tendons will also be healthier. Christian Gug says, do you think that back off sets can improve main lifts? I'm not sure how you mean that. I mean, if you're talking about strength, I don't. If you're talking about hypertrophy, I do. But you're saying improve main lifts, so I'm assuming you mean strength. So I don't necessarily think back off sets are going to help strength necessarily. I think back off sets are more for hypertrophy. So like if you're doing a pyramid set type scheme where you have 4 sets and you're doing 12, 10, 8, and on a 4th set you're doing 6, that's your heaviest. You might go back on a 5th set to a back off set just to kind of do more hypertrophy and do more damage that way and get in, 10 reps, 12 reps on the back off set. Dr. Kean says, what is the worst purchase decision you've made towards bodybuilding? For example, supplements, gear, coaching, etc. Geez, that's a tough one. I don't think I've made any bad purchases with supplements because I think sometimes I buy too many and I don't use them all because I'm like a kid in a candy store when I'm shopping on Amazon for vitamins and minerals and whatever. So, but I don't think I've ever bought any I regret buying. I don't really know, to be honest with you. Maybe shoes. I think I bought some work boots once, thinking it'd be really cool to train in work boots because Ronnie Coleman did and Branch Warren did. I'm like, I think I want to train in work boots. So I think I bought a pair of work boots to train legs in, and it just didn't go over well. It was like kind of shit. So it was a waste of like $150. But yeah, I don't know. It's not a great answer, but that's the only one I can really think of at the moment. I generally, I made a lot of purchases, and some things I don't use, like, wrist straps. I don't really use that much and stuff, but nothing I regret really other than those boots. That's all I can think of. Fortified Momo says, Fouad, if you and Luke swapped bodies for a day, what's the first thing you would do? I would go bench 220-pound dumbbells, see what the fuck it felt like. Man, you know what? Everybody thinks they're strong until they see somebody who's really strong. Luke is just an animal, man. Like, squatting 7 or 8 plates and bench pressing 5 plates and dumbbell pressing 220-pound dumbbell. This stuff's like unheard of for me. The most I've ever dumbbell pressed is, I think, 175s, which is not light, but it's not 220. Yeah, I'd like to know what it feels like to have that kind of weight, especially in the squat. Like, I'd like to know, because the most I've ever squatted, I think, is 5.5 plates. So it'd be really cool to see what it feels like to squat 8 plates. The one and only Jellyman says, top 3 supplements to gain muscle mass. Well, I always think a protein powder is important, whether it be, I'm learning now that hemp protein is actually very good for you. So we don't have a protein powder yet. We're still working on one. I'm actually considering releasing a hemp protein powder because I feel like it's very healthy for you, and it's very good for you. It's also complete protein, so why not? But we haven't decided yet, so I don't want to put that out there just yet. But just kind of letting you guys know my thoughts. But anyway, no, a protein powder, so a whey protein or hemp protein, whatever protein powder you use, is definitely number one. I think a essential amino, like, this is kind of what we've created. Essential amino is always important to help retain muscle mass. And I want to say an intra or pre-workout. See, our intra workout has carbs in it, and I think carbs are very beneficial during your workout because they help recover glycogen stores kind of while you're training. But I don't know if that's the greatest for muscle mass. And your pre-workout is, see, the pre-workout is good if it's formulated properly. It's going to help drive a lot of nutrients into the muscle and increase your pump, which indirectly is going to help you gain muscle mass. So if I had to say 3, I would say a whey, a pre, and an essential amino. I'm a little wavy says, did your parents ever motivate you into bodybuilding, or was it your own decision? No, my parents never motivated me. What I think, if you want to know the truth, where I think this all comes from, my father didn't speak very much. He was a very, very quiet man, and he loved action movies. So, in action shows. So we would watch like The Fall Guy. I don't know if you guys remember The Fall Guy. It's like really old. Like, I was really, really young, but I remember watching The Fall Guy with my dad, or we would watch like Arnold movies like Commando and shit like that. And then his other favorite thing was wrestling. So we would watch a lot of wrestling. Now, wrestling in the 80s, if you remember, the guys were jacked. Like jacked. Like, they were some really, really incredible physiques. So I think that's where this came from, is I would see my dad kind of watching these people in awe, and I kind of wanted him to look at me that way. So maybe that's where it came from. I don't know. I'm just playing psychologist for a minute, but they never actually said, we want you to be a bodybuilder, or we think it's cool, or anything. I think my mom and dad came to my first show. My parents were very, very, very great in one sense. They said to me, whatever you do, just do it the best you can. We don't care what you decide to do. We just want you to put your whole heart into it. And so that's what I did. So they were very proud of me for what I was doing. At the same time, my mom every once in a while says, when are you going to stop? You're getting older, and it's not good for you. And you should, and I gotta have a talk with her and tell her it's okay and everything's fine. But they're very, very supportive people. And my father was very proud of me when I won the Canadian Nationals, and I came home and told him I was the best bodybuilder in the country, and he took a lot of pride in that. So, yeah. Anyway, no, they were very supportive, but definitely didn't push me in that direction. I can't eat no matter what after training or my stomach will get upset. This includes whey protein. Will BCAAs help? Nelford 76. Well, you really don't have a choice. I mean, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to answer this. I get nauseous after training, but I just have to slam, like, usually only after leg training, I'll get nauseous and I can't eat right away. So I have to wait like 30 minutes or something. But if it's like really nauseous and I know I'm not going to be able to eat food for a while, I have to have a shake. You can't just, you have to eat. I don't have a solution for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And BCAAs aren't going to do shit. Essential aminos will help a little bit. They'll help be muscle sparing in the meantime. One of your solutions, this is a solution. Okay. I'll give you this one solution. One of the things I love about having an intra workout is that if it's formulated properly, you can wait a little bit after your workout to eat. I still don't suggest it, but you can wait a little bit because like our intra workout, for example, has essential aminos in it and it has carb powder in it. There's other ingredients, but those two for sure. So you're recovering glycogen stores while you're training and you're getting essential aminos to help protect your muscle from being catabolic while you're training. So you don't necessarily have to jump into that anabolic window right away when you're done. You've already kind of been getting there while you're training. Now, but if you really want to get big and you really want to optimize your muscle mass, you got to eat something. I mean, you could wait half an hour if you have an intra, maybe 45 minutes max. If you have an intra, if you're not doing an intra, you need to eat right away, right? You had your pre-workout meal. That was probably 2 hours before you trained. It's time to eat again. So I'm sorry I don't have a better answer, but you got to get in something. And if you can't get in anything, I would get in at least a scoop of essential amino acids to hold you down for, 45 minutes till you can calm down and eat. But this is not going to be optimal for gaining muscle. It'll be optimal for holding on to muscle. But if you're trying to just get as big as you can, as fast as you can, you're going to have to learn how to force feed that meal. Curry Tony TC was, what was a lagging body part you've had and what did you do to bring it up? My back was it was lagging far behind everything else when I started, as were my legs, but my back more so, I think. And the judges told me, like, look, if you're going to do anything good in this sport, you need a back. So for 2 years, I took a 2-year stint and I started doing back twice a week where I would do a pull down day, everything, all pull downs. Okay. Everything like wide grip, close grip, reverse grip, standing pull downs, pullovers, all that easy kind of stuff. That was all on one day. I would do a second day later in the week, be all the heavy thickness stuff, like all your rowing stuff. So barbell rows, T-bar rows, dumbbell rows, rack deads, or deadlifts off the ground, all this kind of stuff. And my back exploded. So separating those two things really made a big difference for me. So that's something you can do for that. Now, you're going to have to apply that to any other scenario. Like if you have a shoulder problem, you're going to have to you can do a heavy day and an isolation day, or if you have an arm problem, you can do, stack it with a body part and then give it its own day separately in the week. But you have to figure out a solution. You can't just say I have a lagging body part and give up. Even my calves are lagging genetically. I still train them 3 or 4 times a week trying to build them. I just won't give up on them. So it's just part of it, right? Jordan Smith 191 says, how to approach correcting muscle imbalances between muscles. For example, my left pec is larger than my right. I think this comes down to focus. Everybody has this imbalance. It's not that crazy. I know you think it's crazy. I know you can see it, but 98% of people can't see it. The judges probably can't even see it. They're not looking at you long enough. Okay. So if your one left bicep is bigger than your right bicep, nobody cares. I have the same problem in my chest. My left side of my chest is bigger than the right side of my chest. My left arm is bigger than my right arm. My right quad is bigger than my left quad. All you can do is focus. So like if I'm leg pressing, say, and my legs are off, I have to focus on the right side of the right leg and really make sure it's firing. Same thing when I'm benching. I try and do dumbbell press more often because then they're working independently. So I can make sure I'm like this side of my chest is going to be working as hard. Whereas if you do barbell, you kind of wing it and take over with one side over the other. So I would do more unilateral stuff where you're who've separated the body parts independently, and they're able to work on their own. That will help you maximize how you can focus on them. MKO Vac says, what are some other fitness YouTube channels that capture your attention? I like John's channel, John Meadows' channel. Obviously, he's my coach, so I watch his stuff. I like Luke's channel. Every once in a while, I catch Regan's channel, Regan Grimes' channel. These people are just friends, so I kind of watch their channels and see what they're doing. You know, his channel I really like. I really like Brian Shaw's channel. Brian does a really good job with his channel. I always try and, you know, it's important too, because you watch these channels, you try and take little tips. Oh, okay, they did this. That looks nice. Maybe I could try that in my videos and that. So I try and watch a lot of different channels. I don't it's important to kind of know what's working and what's not working for people. Ian Fink says, for developing lower back, are deadlifts superior to rack pulls? No, I don't think they're necessarily superior. I think deadlifts off the ground are actually more leg than back. I've always said this, and I could be wrong, but I always felt like if you do a deadlift properly, it's definitely more leg development than back development, because the first 2/3 of the movement off the ground are your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, your hips. And then as you get, you know, up a little higher, now it's your back. So I feel like rack deads, if you have the rack set up properly, takes the legs out of it, and it's more just your back. So I don't think one is better than another. I think deadlifts are better for your overall body, the overall density of your physique. But if you're focused on just your lower back, then yeah, rack pulls are great. Austin's Classic says, if one has to train early in the morning, 5 or 6 a.m., how would you go about it? Nutrition, etc. The same way I would go about anything. Listen, if I have to train at 6 a.m., I'm getting up at 4:30. If I have to train at 6 a.m., I'm getting up at 4:30 to get a meal in. Maybe 5, but whatever. I'm getting up an hour to an hour and a half before, regardless of the time you have to get to go to work or go to the gym. I'm getting up an hour to an hour and a half before to eat my meal, go to the gym, train, shower, go to work. So I don't feel like there's any difference. It doesn't mean just because you have to work out at 6 in the morning, you have to go fasted. You just have to get up earlier than everybody else. And you can go fasted if you want. Like, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You can still make progress if you go fasted. You might even get leaner. Doesn't mean you get bigger. I don't believe in fasted training. I don't believe fasted training makes for a jacked person. I think it makes you can still make your body look good. But again, we're talking about optimal gains and the fastest way to gain muscle, the fastest way to put on size. We're not talking about does this work or does it not work. We're talking about what works the best. And in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, but in my opinion, getting a meal in before training works better than training fasted for gaining muscle, especially gaining muscle faster, right? So I think if you have to work out at 6, then you got to get up at 4:30. You got to get a meal in and then get your ass to the gym. Lariette Keller says, what does your supplements have that cage muscle does not? Ours are fully clinically dosed, and they have different ingredients. And I could really go down the list, but I don't like to I don't want to talk poorly about another company. I just left because, listen, one of the reasons I left is quality, and not quality or purity of the product, but I felt like I could do a better job of building out a formula. I felt like their formulas lacked something for the hardcore lifter, for somebody who really wanted to get in there and train hard and feel the difference. So yeah, I mean, it's simple. I want to create something better. I want to create something that I want to use. And I actually, if you want the truth, let's, if we're going to go down this road, then let's be honest. I asked them first. I said, look, guys, I have some ideas. And I would like to do this with you guys. We can just create a new line or whatever, even just 1 or 2 products that are based on my formulas that I think would go over well. And they said no. They said they didn't think it would be a good idea. And I completely disagree with them. the ingredient list that I have is going to cost more money. But I think when people try it and people use it, they're going to love it and they're going to understand the difference and understand that they're going to feel the difference. And that's ultimately what it's about for me is listen, this is what it comes down to. I want to promote a product that I want to use, right? When I started with them, I liked their products. I'm like, okay. But as I kept going, I said, I feel like these need something. I'd like to add something to them. What do you think? They said, we don't want to add anything. We think they're great. Okay. Well, then I'm going to have to do my own thing because I feel like I can do something better than this. It's a tough thing, you know, because people think all supplements are equal. Well, that pre-workout's a pre-workout and that pre-workout's a pre-workout. And the only difference is the flavor in it. It's not. It's not. There's a lot of differences. There's a lot of differences in ingredient. There's a lot of different ingredients out there. There's a lot of different doses out there. And then, you know, the superficial things are the flavors. Like, oh, this tastes good and that tastes good. Yeah, that's fine. But the deeper meaning is like, what's in it, and why is that in it, and why does that work? Why do you think that's better, and why is there more of it than that person, and why is this company not have this ingredient and that company does, or why does this company have this ingredient but not at the level that company has it? And you're going to be able to see all these things. Frankly, to be just blunt about it, my formula is better. That's all I can say. My formula is better. I feel like it works better. And I feel like the people that are going to be using it are going to feel better. And that's all there is to it. Nick Maycock 3 says, how can a person who does blue collar work in a field still get his or her meals in without a microwave or while working? There's meals you can eat that don't need a microwave. I did it for a long time. I mean, like tuna and rice. I never felt like it had to be really, really heated up. Like I just eat it the way it was. It never really bothered me. Listen, when you're eating for fuel, it doesn't necessarily have to be enjoyable. So, you know, I hate to say like, I don't have an answer, but the answer is kind of man up. Like, I don't know, man. I used to drive 4 hours back and forth in a single day when I was working in sales, when I was coming up before I became a pro bodybuilder. And I didn't want to stop at like the truck stops to heat up my food. I would just be in the car and I'd have my cooler bag, and I would just, when it was time to eat, I would just take my Tupperware out and I would eat while I was driving. Or if I did stop at a service center, a lot of times I didn't have a microwave and I would just eat in my car at the service center. But yeah, I don't know, chicken and rice, steak and potato, whatever. I mean, I would just get it in. You just have to get it in. There isn't like there's things you can buy. I mean, if you want the truth, there's things you can buy. Like there's portable microwaves that you can plug in to your car or whatever. But like, I don't know. I just ate it. I just ate it. You know, like when you have a goal, you just do it. It's not always about what makes me feel good and how can I make this easier on myself? And, oh, I don't want to eat that, it's gross. And I don't want to eat that, it's dry. And I don't want to eat that, it doesn't work that way, man. You're going to be eating 6 meals a day for the rest of your life, your rest of your bodybuilding life. Okay. If you're trying to get massive, you're trying to get huge, you're trying to get big, you're going to be eating every 2 to 3 hours for the next 10 years. Okay. It's not always going to taste great. Not every meal is going to go down. You're going to be like, oh, that was delicious. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's just, okay, I'm at a job. I got a Tupperware. I got some chicken and rice in it. I added some vegetables. The vegetables make it go down a little bit easier. And I got some barbecue sauce with me. Done. That's it. Got to get it in. There's lots of times I eat cold steak with just like some ketchup on it just to get it down. I think people need to stop looking at like, how can I make things taste great, and just what can get me by for now. I mean, you're at work for 8 hours a day. You're probably going to eat 2 or 3 meals there. So 2 or 3 of your meals every day are going to be like not so great. That's how it is. That's how it is. When I was coming up and I had all those jobs, I didn't like everything I ate. I just ate while I was working to get the food in so I could go to the gym and train. So I don't have the answer for you. I don't have an answer for how you can make something taste good without a microwave when it's been sitting in a Tupperware for 3 hours. Condiments. That's the only answer. You put some condiments on it and kind of get it down. That's it. Listen, the beauty of bodybuilding is that it's not comfortable. The food doesn't taste good. Training fucking hurts. Like when you training is fun, but it's not ha fun. Like I'm out getting drunk with my buddies. It's like, it's fun because you're putting yourself through hell and you're trying to finish that hell. And when you're done, you're like, you have the satisfaction. But the actual act of training is very painful. The actual act of like eating 6 times a day for a decade on end is just, it's shitty. It's like, it's gross. I don't want to do this. But you just sometimes, like, not every meal tastes great, but you just get it in anyway. You know, and you guys should know that. I mean, I know this is, you guys are coming to me for the answers about how to make things better, but this is the truth. I'm telling you guys the truth. I've been doing this for 20 years. Not all of my meals were great. In fact, half of the meals I eat over the course of 20 years, I'm probably like, I don't really want to be eating this, but I eat it anyway. Oh, I got to get up. I got to make egg whites again. Oh, I got to get up. Oh, I got to pack this chicken. It's going to be cold by the time I eat it. You still got to get it in. So I'm sorry, Nick. I don't have a better answer for you, dude. But if you don't have a microwave and you can't put a portable one in your car where you can heat up your food, you're just going to have to eat your chicken and rice kind of cold, or your steak and potatoes kind of cold, or, you know, I mean, I would do like a tuna pasta, because if you do like a tuna pasta, it's supposed to be eaten cold anyway. Like a tuna salad pasta kind of thing. Do that, or like you know what I mean? Like, you know, sometimes egg salad, you do egg salad cold, you can do that too. Like, but for the most part, kind of out of luck. Dave Graham 46 says, what body part of Luke's would you swap for your own to improve your physique? And what would Luke swap of his for yours? I'm not sure what Luke would swap of mine. Luke would probably take my chest. I would take his triceps. If I could have Luke's triceps, my body would look drastically different. Because I know it doesn't probably, you guys probably don't think so, but the arms really frame the physique in a different way. So when you have really thick arms, like Phil Heath or Rolly Winkler or even Luke, it makes your whole body, the illusion of your entire body, look different. So yeah, I would definitely take his arms, or just his triceps at least. Daragon MUFC says, does your training split style differ when on prep and off season? Not usually, but sometimes when I'm on prep, depends on the prep. I have done preps where I didn't want to do as much cardio because I want to train more, because training burns a ton of calories, right? And I was trying an experiment to see how my body would look if I trained twice a day. So there was one prep where I did like AM training, PM training, and then cardio at night, like by itself. It actually worked very well, but I did break down after like 3 or 4 weeks, but it was like at the end of my prep. So it kind of like made me look sharper going into the show. And then I needed a real break after the show. For the most part though, my training style and split doesn't change too drastically at all. The weights might get a little lighter, but only because you're depleted and you can't lift as heavy. It's not because I don't want to lift as heavy, it's just because you actually get a little weaker. Yeah, no, it's generally the same. It's the diet and the cardio that changes the most. Diego Rivera 805 says, how do you eat on a rest day? When do you change, or do you eat the same? What do you change, or do you eat the same? Diego, I actually eat more. It depends on what your goals are, okay? If your goal is to bulk and to get really big and to mass up, my opinion is I eat more on my rest days. More carbs, more everything, because I'm trying to refuel my body. That day is for me to rest and let my body take in as much as I can and refill glycogen stores and get ready for the next day of hard training. If you're trying to burn fat, then your rest day is going to require a deficit, because now you're not training and you're not expending any energy. So you're trying to like not just ingest more food for no reason, right? So it depends on your goal. My goal is usually to gain more size. So my rest days are usually, let's take in more food. That way, tomorrow when I get back to the gym, I'm full blown and ready to go, right? Alex Scott Nelson said, is there anything you would redo in your career if you could do it? What would you do again? There's so much I can think of actually now, whereas I didn't before. I would have talked to a lot more judges and promoters. And I would have done more guest posings. I didn't travel as much as I could have. I had opportunities to travel a lot to guest pose and things like that. I didn't take them. And I think bodybuilding is a lot about networking, and I didn't take the time to network and really meet the promoters and meet people, different people doing shows, and it's really, really about relationships. And I think that goes for more than just bodybuilding. It's probably just life. But I didn't take the time to meet all the people I could have met. And like, for example, Tony Doherty in Australia invited me to come out to Australia to do the Australia Pro, which is now the Arnold Classic Australia. This is back in like 2011 or 12. And I said no. And he asked me again the next year, and I said no. And now, and people stop asking. They'll ask you a couple times, and they're not going to ask you anymore. And I had the chance to go to Australia, and I didn't take it. So it's things like that. Jay Cutler asked me when he was in the prime of his career, asked me to come out to Las Vegas to train with him for a weekend. And I said no. And a lot of it had to do with my anxiety and not being around people I didn't know and things like that, and being just not scared of flying, but scared of I didn't want to go off my regimen. I had my regimen. I go to the gym, I eat this. I didn't want to pack up all my stuff and fly away somewhere for 3 or 4 days. And there's a lot of stupid reasons, but when I look back now, man, you should have took all those opportunities. I should have took all those opportunities to travel and meet people and just get over my anxiety and do it anyways. It would have definitely paid off a lot more than not doing it. So we've hit the hour mark, but I'm going to answer one more question. Johnny Bodybuilder says, if you are battling a bad cold or flu or some other illness and you're not feeling 100%, do you try to train around it, or do you totally avoid training? This is a really good question because I get it all the time and I see it all the time. If you're sick, don't train. For example, I have allergies right now and it's bothering me. Right? Allergy is not sickness. But if you have a cold or flu or something like that, don't go to the gym, because it's not just because you don't want to get everybody else at the gym sick, but it's because that's your body telling you to calm down. It's like, hey, I'm sick. I need a rest. And by going to the gym, you're basically telling your body, I don't care what you want. I'm going to go train anyway. And you're just going to make it worse. So if you're going to be sick for 3 or 4 days with a cold, now you're going to be sick for, you're just extending the life by 2 days every time you go train. So, and eventually it's probably going to get worse and worse and worse. And a simple cold might develop into pneumonia and so on and so on. Like, when you're sick, your body is saying to you, I need to rest. So rest. You're not going to lose any gains. I've had the flu before and I've sat around till it's gone. I've lost 15 or 20 pounds, but it's like mostly water weight. Once you get back at it, the weight comes right back. Strength comes right back. Everything comes right back a week or two in. So if you're sick, take a time off you need, rest, recover, drink tons of water, eat food if you can eat food. And when you're feeling better and you're not sick anymore, get back to the gym and kill it. That's the best way to do it. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this hour, and we will hopefully get a lot more of these questions in the next part. Maybe we'll do this again later next week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got some good information from this Q&A. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and help us keep growing and become number one. Hosstile Supplements is on the way, and I'm really excited for you guys to try it. Thank you all for your support, and we'll be back soon. Thanks, guys.